Okay, now here's how we will be solving these equations. You do what's called factoring. The first thing you do with factoring is you set up this box with a space and parentheses. And behind it you put equals 0. What you're doing is figuring out what the GCF is of these two things. So I'm going to underline those two things. GCF. Now here's the first thing you ask. Do you have a negative in the front? No, you do not. Do you have x on both those two numbers? Yes, you do. You have x second and x. So you take the smaller one, the x. Okay, and then let's take our smaller number, 2 and 8. 2 would be the smallest, and let's think of all the factors of 2. 2 divided by 1 equals 2. So 1 comma 2, and that's it. Now, you know you can divide 2 by 2. I'm pretty sure I can divide 8 by 2, so 2 is the GCF, so 2x. So 2x goes out into the space. Now, since I pulled that out, we're going to go up here and divide by 2x. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. X squared divided by x is always just x. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then when I divide just an x by an x, those cancel out, and I just have x. Okay? Now, parenthesize that, and you have F1 and F2. So factor 1, the 2x could equal 0. Or factor 2, the 1x plus 4 could equal 0. All I have to do is divide by 2. 0 divided by 2 is 0, so we can put 0 for the first answer. I need to subtract 4 first. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. I don't need to divide because it's a 1. So 0 and negative 4 are the two possible answers for x. Okay, next up, same thing. Now that you see that it's equal to 0, blank parentheses equals 0, and I need to factor these two terms, known as the GCF, greatest common factor. Do you have a negative in front? No. Do you have x on everything? No. Or yeah, you do. X squared and x. Sorry. So we take our x. All these problems, you'll be putting x with your GCF. Not always going to be that way, but on this assignment it will be. 6 and 15. Well, let's take the smaller number, the 6, list the factors out of 6. Well, again, I'll do this kind of the... Oh, 1, so 1, 6. Next number would be 2. 2, 3. After 2 comes 3, which I've already have, so stop. And now let's see which one of these numbers could also be I could divide 15. Well, I can't divide 15 by 6 because 15 divided by 6, that's a decimal. Can you divide 15 by 3? Yeah, it's 5. So put 3 there. So 3x comes out here. Okay. And that's going to be 2. X squared divided by x is always x. That's a fact you have to know. Because if I have x, x, and then x underneath, they're going to cancel, and I'm going to get left with an x on top. Minus, and then 15 divided by 3 is 5, and these can cancel. When they're the same x of the same power, you can cancel them. Okay, so I wrap him up. That's factor number 1. That's factor number 2. So I know that factor 1, 3x could equal 0, or 2x minus 5 could equal 0. All I need to do is divide by 3, and that's 0. Plus 5 plus 5, 2x equals 5. divide by 2, and 5 divided by 2 is 2.5, but I'm just going to keep it 5 over 2. That's kind of the way I like to handle decimals when I'm finding the two answers and having to factor. Okay, 3x to the second minus 9x. So GCF. Do I have a negative in front? Negative ghostwriter. Put equals 0 too. You have x here and x here, so you take the smaller x. 3 and 9, okay? So 3 would be the smallest one to check. Factors of 3, again, I'm going to explain this like kind of stupid here. 1, 3. Oh, that's a decimal, so 2 is not a factor, and then that then would come 3. Okay, so 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3, so that works. So 3x is your GCF. Okay, so wrap that up, and then you go divide by 3x, because it's like you're unmultiplying it. 3 divided by 3 is 1. X to the second divided by x is always x. And 9 divided by 3 is 3, and you can cancel those. So that's factor number 1, that's factor number 2. So factor 1, 3x can equal 0. Factor 2, 1x minus 3 equals 0. So I divide by 3, I get 0. Box up that, plus 3, 1x equals 3. 0 and 3. Okay, negative 16x is second plus 80x. A little bit of a harder one this time. GCF. You have a negative in the front, so you need to make your GCF a negative no matter what. You have x squared, and you have x. So we need to put x there. And now we got to check out the 16 and the 80. So 16 is smaller. I use that one because it's smaller. It takes less time. 16 divided by 1, 16. I put 1, 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8, so 2, 8. 16 divided by 3 is a decimal, so I don't even put 3. 16 divided by 4. I get twin identical factors. As soon as I also get twin identical factors, I know that I found all the factors. Okay, let's try 16. Well, I'm pretty sure 16 divides by 16, but does 80? Yup. So we need to put 16 here, and negative 16x goes outside here as the GCF. So I divide by negative 16x. Negative 16 divided by negative 16 is 1. X squared divided by x is x. Positive 80 divided by negative 16 is negative 5. Now, if you get a negative when you divide that second one, you need to put minus 5. Okay? Then the x's can cancel. You need to get in that habit. So that's factor number 1, and that's factor number 2. So negative 16x could equal 0. Or 1x minus 5 could equal 0. So I divide by negative 16, and that's 0. Plus 5 plus 5, 1x equals 5. Okay, now you notice on this one, you kind of understand why you had to get it equal to 0. Okay, why you had to take that and move it over here. Okay, but now you're ready to go. Okay, GCF. You do not have a negative in front. You have x on both terms here. So x. Okay, 14 and 28. So the smaller one's 14. Whoops, I should do that up here. So factors of 14, 1 and 14, obviously. 2 and 7. Decimal, 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 and then I already have 7, so I'm done. So let's check out 14. 14 divided by 14 is 1, and 28 divided by 14 is 2, so 14 is the one to use, okay? So 14x is our GCF. That comes out there, and that serves as F1. Now to find F2, you just divide. 14 divided by 14 is 1. X second divided by x is just x. And then 28 divided by 14 is 2, so minus 2, and those cancel. Okay, so this is F2. So we know that 14x could equal 0, or 1x minus 2 could equal 0. So I divide by 14, divide by 14, and that's 0. Plus 2, 1x is 2. Okay, next one. Set up your GCF box. By the way, sorry about this crappy paper with all the specs on it. I know that's kind of annoying. GCF. Do you have a negative in front? You bet. Do you have X on both of them? Yes, you do. So X. And then let's take 9, figure out some factors of 9. So 1 and 9 is obvious. Is 2 a factor of 9? No. Is 3 a factor? Yes. And they're twin factors. So when I divide and get 2 twin factors, it's done. Okay. 9 divides by 9. Everybody should know that. But just 24? No, not even close. 3. 9 divides by 3, but just 24. Yep, it does. So negative 3x. Okay, negative 24 divided by negative 3 is positive 8. X second divided by x is x. And then that's negative 9 divided by negative 3. That ends up being positive 3, so plus 3, and those cancel. So that's factor 1, and that's factor 2. So negative 3x equals 0, and 8x plus 3 equals 0. So I divide by negative 3, and that's 0. Minus 3, 8x equals negative 3. Divide by 8. That's a decimal. I'm just going to put negative 3/8. Okay, 8x to the second power minus 4x equals 0. So let's factor this. So GCF that. Now let's do it up here. Let's always be consistent where we do it. Okay, negative, no, I have x squared and x, so I put x. And then 8 and 4. 1, 4, and then 2, 2, twin factors of 2. Okay, you can divide 8 by 4, that's 2, and you can divide 4 by 4 because that's 1, so 4x is the GCF, so that needs to be pulled out. That's factor 1. And 2x minus 1, because those x's there cancel. These don't. You'll still have an x, but the other ones do. So 4x could equal 0, or 2x minus 1 could equal 0. So I divide by 4, I get 0. Plus 1, 2x equals 1. And that's going to be 1/2. You can also put 0.5 if you want. Okay, that's really all you do. Now, if you know the GCF right away, you'll fly through the assignment. Okay, if you don't, well, I showed you how to get it.